Okay, so today we are going to be doing the Unpopular Opinions book tag. This is a tag that I've done twice in my 4.5 years on BookTube, but it's been a while, so let's do it again. The first question is a popular book or series that you don't like. And I have a whole video that I did recently that YouTube demonetized because, well, I don't blame them. Called Popular Books I Hate. I'll link it up there and down in the description if you haven't seen it. I kind of went in on these books. But a book that didn't make that list because I don't absolutely hate it. These are books that I hate. Not just books I didn't like, but books I really don't like. But a book that didn't make that list because I don't actually hate it, I just really didn't enjoy reading it. That got me a lot of hate. I think it's called The Dragon Riders of Perrin. I'll put an image right there. This is a really popular series, one that a lot of people read when they were younger. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it for very specific reasons. I actually was pretty fine with the book as a whole. I thought the book was fine. I know that it was instrumental in the sci-fi fantasy genre, and I think that's a big reason why it's so well loved, is because it's the first to do a lot of things as someone taking a step back from that with no nostalgia, just reading it now. I thought it was fine, but there was one specific element that I really didn't like that brought it way down to I don't like this book. And I'm not going to talk about it here because one, holy cow, the anger that came to me for not liking that book, but two, I just don't want to be demonetized again, so go check out my Goodreads review instead. And feel free to read the comments on that Goodreads review because, wow. Question number 2, a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate, but you love. And I'm going with Wuthering Heights. Obviously, this is a classic. It's a popular book. Some people clearly like it, but let me tell you, none of my peers do. I actually read this book with the intention to hate read it, which I don't do very often. I typically prefer to like what I read, so I try to pick up books that I think I'm gonna like. But with Wuthering Heights, a friend of mine read it, absolutely despised it, did a whole rant review, which I didn't watch because I didn't want spoilers until I watched it after I finished it. But anyway, she hated this book so much, ranted to me about it, told me I would hate it too, and then I decided, let's organize a buddy read with some of our other friends, and we'll all read it together and just complain about it the whole time. And I loved it so much. It's one of my favorite books. Why do I love this book? I actually just made a video. I think it was my last video that I put out, other than the reading vlog, so if you watched that one, you already know, so I'll keep it short here, but this book is oftentimes categorized or thought of as a romance. Maybe don't think of it that way, because that's not how it was published. It was published as a tragedy. Please view it as a tragedy. You may not hate it as hard. This book is about the cycle of abuse. It follows characters that have been abused, who come from abusive families, who turn into abusers. This book means a lot to me. I appreciate this book so much. Question number 3 is a love triangle or OTP, one true pairing I think is what it's called. It was what I think is what that means, that you did not think that they ended up with who they should have. And I actually don't have an answer for this. In the 2 times that I've done this tag, I gave the 2 answers that I have. I really don't think I have another answer here. I don't really read books with love triangles in them very much. I used to see them all the time, and I know they're still published because I still see people complain about them in recently published books, but I don't tend to pick up those books. So I really just don't have that many love triangles that I'm disappointed in the outcome of. Yeah, I can't think of anything other than the 2 that I already said. One I've forgotten the name of. I don't remember. It was in the first Unpopular Opinions tag. And then the other one is The Hunger Games. I think Katniss would have been fine to end up with no one on her own, at least for a while. Question number 4 is a popular book genre that you rarely reach for. That's going to be mystery. I do read a lot of genres and have a lot of interest. In fact, I have a whole video. It's really long about all the genres I read and all my top books in those genres. Link it over there. But mystery, specifically detective mystery, following the detective trying to solve the crime, is a genre that I just don't reach for. It is a genre that I plan on continuing to try out. I have a whole shelf of them that have been sent to me by subscribers that I will read eventually. It's just, I just don't reach for it. Question number 5 is a popular character that you don't like. Sure, why not? Matrim Coffin. I feel like in the Wheel of Time community, he is a fan favorite. Everybody seems to like him, including my dad. He's his favorite character in the whole series. And I get it. Matt is really great when he's great. I get that he, especially in that final battle, was instrumental, incredible. I appreciate his character and I appreciate all he does for the series, but I would not want to hang out with the guy. Why wouldn't I want to hang out with the guy? Because he never thinks about anything other than women's behinds and how he wants them to sit on his lap, and what I'm just being in his head is annoying. And frankly, he constantly makes those comments to the women as well. And even after he got married, he was constantly thinking about women's behinds or their chests, and then thinking to himself, but I'm not thinking about this for me. I'm thinking about it for my buddy Tom. I'm thinking about Tom over here. And then that one too. And eventually I'm just like, all right, I get it. You're a womanizer. Let's move on, shall we? I love him for what he did for the series. He is funny. He has his moments. Not a character I connected with. Question number 6 is a popular author that you can't seem to get into. I have plenty of these. I think Jake Kristoff is probably the easiest answer here. I did not like Nevernight, in case you haven't heard. And I also tried his, that one series, what was it called? Lifelike was the first book. Really didn't like that. Well, you could argue I disliked Nevernight more, but I actually DNF'd that one. I didn't even finish that one. I did try the one that everybody seems to like, the one that he co-authored. Illuminate. I tried Illuminate as well and also didn't finish that one, but that was because of my dyslexia. The mixed media formatting is really hard for me to read with my dyslexia, having words all over the page and going in the wrong directions and having a lot of different things happening just make it that much harder for me to read. So I need to try it out on audiobook, which I've heard it's good on audiobook too, but I've really just not been into audiobooks lately. I haven't been enjoying consuming books that way lately, unless I'm having a really bad dyslexic day and can't read it all. Then I'll switch to audiobook, but for the most part, I'm pretty much exclusively physically reading lately, so it'll probably be down the road. Question number 7 is a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing. So I have a whole video about this. I actually did a whole tier list of my least favorite tropes. I'll link it in the corner and down in the description. I think that my most hated book trope, or at least one of my most hated book tropes, has to be resurrection / fake out deaths. But I don't think that that's unpopular. So a lot of the things that I don't like are popular. A lot of the things that I don't like, it's popular to not like them. A lot of people don't like love triangles. A lot of people don't like resurrection. A lot of people are tired of the chosen one trope. Like it's not that controversial. So let me give you something controversial by changing the subject, by changing the question a little bit and talking about a trope that's popular to hate that I happen to like. So you know when you're introduced to a new society, maybe aliens, maybe elves, etc., and they all look the same, and they all act the same, and they all speak the same language, and they're basically a monolith? I actually like that. I see so many writing advice videos or rant reader videos talking about the monolith species. And I don't know, man, I like it. I love a complex new species. Like if you want to introduce a new species and you want to show me hierarchies and dynamics within it and different languages spoken within it and different ways of communicating and belief systems within it, I love that. I love breaking down a whole new species and a whole new culture. I love the complexities of it. But frankly, if you don't want to get into all that and you want to make them all exactly the same, I really like that too. I'm not sure why, I just do. Question number 8, a popular book series that you have no interest in reading. This is probably a little bit less controversial than it would have been, what was it, 2 years ago when the show ruined itself? But the A Song of Ice and Fire series, I read the first book and I DNF'd the second book. And the first book, there were things that I loved, there were things that I hated. The second book I just really wasn't enjoying. And it's just a series that I don't see myself falling in love with. I don't tend to like grimdark. It's not my subgenre. The First Law trilogy, one of my favorite series of all time, I love, but it's the only grimdark I've ever read and come away feeling like it was a masterpiece. For the most part, grimdark just isn't my thing. And I don't care for George R.R. Martin's writing style. I know a lot of people love it. I know that in and of itself is controversial, but I hate repetitive writing, and Martin will not stop using the same descriptions and the same ways of saying things over and over and over again to the point that I want to gouge my daggum eyes out. I know that he's a brilliant writer, and I know that he has the most complex plots and deep character work. I understand why people love him, but I just don't jive with his writing, and I don't like grim dark. 9 times out of 10, he goes too dark for me. I don't want to read about it the way he writes it. Question number 9 is, the saying goes, the book was better than the movie. What movie was better than the book? Okay, I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. This white box set right here, that's my Jane Austen set. I love it. I've read them all. I'm a huge fan of her work. Mansfield Park is probably her least popular book that she's written. And I would love to not be one of those people. And I would love to say that it's great and go against the grain. I will say that Fanny, the main character of Mansfield Park, which, by the way, Jane Austen was British. Did Fanny not have that British meaning at the time that she wrote it? Is that more of a modern slang? Doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't need to know. Don't talk about it in the comments. Fanny is a character that is one of her least liked characters, and that I disagree with. She's one of my favorite characters. I love her. Just because she's not sassy and spicy like Elizabeth and Emma does not mean that she's not phenomenal. She is. However, I didn't love the book, and I did love the movie. I watched Mansfield Park after I finished reading the book, and I absolutely loved it. And then I watched it again immediately after, and I'm not really much of a movie person, so watching a movie 2 times in a row is very rare for me, but I loved that movie. I think that it took everything great about the book, except for Fanny was a little bit, they changed her to make her more movie-esque. She wasn't quite as quiet and demure as Fanny is, but other than that, it took everything great about the book and did that well, and then everything that I felt fell flat about the book, it did better. So yeah, I think the Mansfield Park movie is better than the book. There you go, there is the Unpopular Opinions book tag, the 3rd time I've done it. It's a fun tag to do. It's an easy video to do when I have a lot going on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to chat with me in the comments about some of the things that you agree on, some of the things you disagree on. Answer all the questions yourself if you want to. I will have the questions in the description so you can look at them and answer them. I'll also have the original creator of this tag linked in the description as well. I post videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'll see you guys again soon.